You're listening to The Bright Idea.
What's good, everybody? I'm Robert Dickens Jr. And thank you for pulling up to Season 1, Episode 6 of The Bright Idea. It's concepts and consciousness for anybody that's trying to live a creative life. Now let's jump into Episode 6, entitled Light. Many objects within space emit light. From stars, nebulas, and even some gaseous planets, they all give off a visible glow. As their radiance pierces the cosmos, moons, planets, asteroids, and comets pass their reflection on. This light makes visible what would otherwise be hidden from view. It opens our perspective to a completely new realm of possibilities. And I think this is important because it really shows how our creative difference can light the way for others that are around us. Now, although it seems that being different is something that's lauded within modern society, I think it might be somewhat of a dated concept now, because never before have there been so many similar personalities, patterns, and products. You know, everything today seems to exist in duplicate or triplicate. You know, you probably could think of 10 different influencers with the same template for their aesthetics and their social media. You could probably think of 10 different fashion brands who use the same classic tile or have their name in bold letters across their designs or use the same font. But as pointed as that critique may be, it's also relatably human. And let's be honest, you know, copying does feel safer. You know, it feels that way because we think that if we can point to someone else who's effectively done something similar, maybe it feels like we're taking a little bit less of a risk creatively. And it often feels like being similar is an easier path to success. You know, it's true that being predictable can make other people resonate with your work a little bit more, right? Because they feel like they already kind of know where you're going with things. But attempting to recreate others' successes just comes at the price of our own creative difference. And in my opinion, any success where we have to be less ourselves just feels like an L to me. You know, because even if we do succeed at being someone else, we've effectively failed at being ourselves. And all too often, I feel like this is what leads us to dim our quirks and our idiosyncrasies. You know, we don't lean into our difference and our uniqueness as we should because maybe we don't think it's marketable. You know, maybe it's not like something that people have seen in our industry before. But what we're often forgetting and discounting is how our individuality brings freshness to our work. In a sea of sameness, difference is a beacon of hope. It pierces our doubts with the realization that there's space for eccentricity. There's space for unusual. There's space for weird. Like there's space for us to be our fullest and truest selves. And this version of us is the light that others will use to recognize their own creative potential. So don't dim your difference, because the world needs you, the real, most honest version of you. Your extraordinary difference brings a light that will be seen from years and years away. Now let's take a moment to pause for clear consciousness and creative space. 1. Have you noticed yourself dimming your difference? 2. How do you find your courage to be different? 3. How do you practically embrace your difference? Yo, thanks for listening to Season 1, Episode 6 of The Bright Idea. If you enjoyed it, of course, like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend. Let's start a conversation online about what you're creating right now at Robert Dickens Jr. on YouTube, Instagram, or Threads.